And he's like, yeah, I could have done it differently. He really recognized that he could have done it differently. He can be trained. He can learn a new way. And I said this to her. So the relationship doesn't have to be over just because in this one instance he didn't validate you and support you the way you wanted. We can re-educate our clients. What are we doing with our children? We're educating them, right? Then you guys come to school and you're re-educated. And then you go to job and you see how the real world is and you're re-educated again. We re-educate our clients. And I said to her, he really could make a good spouse for someone one day. May not be her. But if he stays in therapy and he stays working on his things, I see a lot of potential with this particular person. So we have to know that we re-educate, part of our job is to re-educate our client. But you might spend a lot of time with clients dealing with their temper tantrums, dealing with the way they want it to look. I know that I'll go to therapy, I'll be like, I'm so pissed at this, I'm so pissed. And what I'm pissed at is I don't want this to be this way. I'm having a fucking temper tantrum for the past year and a half. One day, I'll learn to accept.
The other thing is that it's hard to move on. Like
Of course,
from a lifestyle that
because
you
no
already
one
had
likes
and, like,
chaos. The reality is we don't like chaos. If we liked chaos, God would not have made the earth and would not have made the oceans and the fish and the trees and the bird. God would stay with an idea. I have this idea about these people called humans that walk this place called the earth, that maybe the sun comes out and the moon comes out.
And it never
That's chaos. That is chaos. That's energy with no form. That's all that chaos is.
I wish it would have happened that way, that he would have only stayed with the thought.
Chaos is energy with no form. The baby that they give you, and they don't give you the body. If I said, I'm giving you Jay, but he has no body, who are you going to play with? Who are you going to laugh with? Who are you going to touch?
What are you giving me then?
Exactly. Chaos. I'm giving you a blob of this thing that has no structure. So when we stay in that thing, I want it to look like that. It's because we don't like chaos. Control is simply structure that we're trying to avoid change, which is chaos, which means here's a blob, make something with it. And so I'm a blob right now and trying to find out my identity. I'm in chaos trying to add structure. So change forces chaos on us. And we don't like it. Because if we liked it, you're absolutely right. God would have totally stayed with the idea.
How much better would the world have been?
There would be no world. Because the world is form. The earth is form. That's my point.
Yeah.
Everything that has form is structure, has limits. So people that think they're going to change the world, they're going to do whatever the hell they want, or waste their time, waste their day, are in chaos. And what they're trying to avoid is inevitable. You don't have to put structure on yourself. The world will put structure on you.
So like for example, my mom telling me all this bullshit about change, you need to change, you need to do it. This could fall under that as well, right?
She's the one that needs to change.
No, yeah, but what I'm saying
I'm
is,
sure you have places you need to change.
Yeah.
We
and I'm
all
still
do.
working on, but
But that's not for another person to tell you.
exactly. That's what I
Why? Because we create. Change simply means I'm taking one thing and turning it into something else. It's going to look different. The sperm and the egg turn into the baby. It looks different. Second chakra. The only person who can create change in their own life is that person. That's why we don't help clients change. We don't make clients change. We plant seeds, we give them ideas, we guide them, we hold their hand, but they're the ones who have to do it.
And that goes in anything, though. Anything.
Anything that's created
Anything.
needs a form, and only the person that had the thought can actually change the form. If I have a thought that I am hideous looking, I am the only one who can change that thought. You can help me, but I have to do the work.
You gotta have to want to do it too.
Yes. What?
It's like one of the most universal analogies you can also use. At least that's what I'm realizing right now.
This is universal. Every single creation story, I'm just talking God because everyone knows that story. Every single myth, every single philosophy, every religion starts off with this. There was a God that wanted to experience himself, and he had to make matter. You want to experience yourself differently, you have to do the work. You have to create the form. That's why the sexual energy is the most important energy, and the church understood this. And that's why they slapped the Virgin Mary on the story. Because they said, if we can control these women, that the pagan were women that were out of control, fucking left and right. They were in charge. They owned the man. Don't mess with pagan women. Well, the church said, oh, no, no, no. If we control the sexual energy, we control everything. And that's why sex became taboo. Pre-Christianity, no one had any issues with sex at all. May Day was this whole festival about sexuality. It was the Christian church that said, who knew, because they understood this. They understood energy medicine. They understood metaphysics. And they said, if we can control the sexual energy, the energy of creation, we will control them all. And what they used to do was sell papers that said, you're going to heaven. Yeah. And the more money, creation, money, sex, second chakra, the more money you pay, the bigger your paper and the bigger guarantee you're going to heaven. What fucking ridiculousness is that? But that's what they did.
Yeah,
yes, that's what they did. They would give out the paper. So the Christians were metaphysicians. They understood the rules of the universe. This is so universal, James. This is across the board.
Yeah.
Across the board. So the client that I had this session with, I don't know how to do stories on Instagram. I post things, but I don't know how to do my story. So every now and then, someone will send me, you've been in a story, and then I share it. So this morning, so Connie, if you're watching, thank you. She sends me an Instagram story, and it's chaos versus structure. Mind blown, reading from Dr. Yahya. Because it's so universal. It resonates. It resonates with people. She said that she was, that one, she was blown away.
Oh.
And she understood finally the root cause of why she creates these headaches and why she creates the anxiety. Because when she's feeling too confined, she has to create chaos. In her case, she rebels against the number one form, which is the body. So you have these behaviors that are destructive, whether it's illness, whether it's gambling, whether it's sex addiction, whether it's food, whether it's pilfering your money, whatever it is, drinking too much. So instead of criticizing your client that they have these poor behaviors, you want to understand your client and you want to say, oh, you're just rebelling, or you're just trying to organize your chaos, and all of a sudden it's a whole new thought. I'm not this horrible person, I'm not this terrible person, I'm not flawed. I simply don't know how else to deal with the chaos or deal with the structure. And your mother does not know any other way but to criticize you, because it doesn't look the way she wants it to look. My job, if I were your therapist, was to help you not get affected by what she thinks, and help you understand that you are living a life of structure.
Yesterday we went at it again, and I just stared at the wall while she's like going on, and then she's like, I want to know what your reason is behind for doing what you do. And I'm like, no, I mean, you already know the reason. Why are we having the same chat over and over? And she's like, no, I can't live with someone like that. I was like,
I can't.
I'm
I
like,
can't accept this. I
I'm like,
can't
well,
live with
guess
this.
what? I can't either. And she's like, the only reason you're here is because of your son. And I'm like, that's the only damn reason why I'm here. If
Well, that's
not,
the
I wouldn't
structure
be
to your
here.
chaos, is your son.
So, exactly. So, you have
So
to give
as
them
long
an
as it is serving you,
yeah.
if that structure of living at your mom's because of your son is serving you to organize your chaos, embrace it
Exactly.
instead of fighting it.
But she just doesn't like I feel like on her part, she just doesn't like the fact of how we live because she wants to be a family. So she wants us to like sit down, hey, how was your
Right, she
day?
wants it her way.
I'm like,
Look,
My
for
day was
many,
like
many
that.
months, for many, many months, I wanted to leave here. I was first gonna move to the Keys. Every month, I would go, oh, this month I'm moving. Then I moved to Austin, Texas. Then I moved to Colorado. And I applied to jobs.
Yeah.
Like thousands of jobs. I was moving out of Florida. I was leaving Kaiser, I was leaving Weston, I was moving out of Florida. This was gonna happen.
yeah, right.
Here I am, no job opportunities, and it's not that I'm not qualified.
Oh no, you're overly qualified.
So I was like insistent that if I moved, that was gonna make it better. Because I was trying to organize my chaos. And I figured a new job, a new this, a new place, a new whatever, was going to organize that. And that's oftentimes a behavior that we'll see. People wanting to run away, people starting new relationships, people starting new jobs, whatever it is. And it's in an attempt to organize the chaos. And one day, I'm like, right now, the anchor in my life is this job. Right now, being here is exactly where I need to be. This is it. So rather than running away from it and creating more chaos, I decided to embrace what was sort of forced on me, the structure. And that's another thing that you can help clients understand. That what's being forced upon them, like with Paula, she's sort of forced, so to speak, to live with her mom when she doesn't have any other options, is a positive, because it's helping her organize her chaos. Me staying at Kaiser, me not moving to another state, is helping me organize my chaos. And if we can see that as a positive, rather than fighting it, like her mom fights that she's not a certain way. She's embracing she has to live with her mom. She has no choice. Then we can start to live a little better. So we have work to do. We have work to do. And for us to better help our clients, we have to understand this and apply it to our own life. Because this is it. Bottom line. You're creating chaos because there's too much structure. You're creating too much structure because you have no other way of organizing chaos. This is bottom line what every religion, philosophy, theory it boils down to. and you're gonna have clients like your mom that are absolutely resistant to any change. And probably, I don't know your mom's case, psychologically, why do you think someone would be so attached to their structure?
Because it feels good. It's a safe spot.
It's
their-
safe, and they
Yeah.
most probably had a chaotic childhood where they had no control. So I have a friend who's overly controlling. But when she was growing up, her mother was a freak. Her mother was absolute chaos. So the only way she learned to adapt to that was by giving herself rules and structure. So oftentimes, people that have so many rules and structure come from such chaos that they did not know how else to organize their life but self-imposing rules, as was the case with this girl. So your mother may have found herself in such chaos, maybe after your dad died, that she said, let me go to Christ, which is a structure, religion is a structure, and this is the way I'm going to deal with the chaos of just having lost my husband and being alone with 2 kids. She's not crazy. I mean, she's kind of crazy, but she's not crazy in the sense that we are mechanical. People, we're not that complicated. We're complicated, but we're not.
Yeah, we made exactly.
There has to be a reason that she created that persona. So our job is to dig. And this friend of mine, I happen to know, and we've never talked about this, I'm just using this as an example, that she probably, the only way that she can handle her mother's cuckoo-ness was to say, oh, you're not going to impose the rules on me? Well, then let me impose my own rules. And so you can ask clients, where did they have extreme chaos in their life? And by the way, for those of you studying astrology, chaos is Uranus in astrology, in Aquarius. Wherever we have Aquarius and Uranus, that's chaos. That's where the person will create chaos. So where did you have chaos in your life as a child? Probably 0 to 7 years old, where the only mechanism you knew was to add structure to your life, was to put control. So I'm just going to pick on Ms. Rapace for half a second, because you're somewhat of a control freak. And it goes, she's a Virgo. Did you at any point feel chaotic where rules made you feel safe? Or can you think of an instance, or even now in your home, does cleaning or does organizing make you feel like, oh my God, I'm organizing the chaos if there's something maybe out of your control?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. That's how I, and it's, you know, someone else from the outside, and I have people tell me all the time, it's like, your house is so clean, and I'm like, no, not really, you know, it's like, and it's because that's how I feel better, that's how I maintain my rules that I impose on myself, my control. You know?
And in her case, it's cleaning.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm sitting there with toothbrushes, okay? I'm not that nuts, okay?
No.
But it helps her feel organized. That's a very common thing. My daughter, her room will be a mess. So there's a saying in metaphysics, as within, so without. Whatever's happening on the outside is happening on the inside. And finally, she'll get up, and now she lives alone, so Lord knows, but this is when she lived with me. And her room would be a pigsty. And then at 3 in the morning, she'd spend 2 hours cleaning her room, everything would be organized, and I'd be like, oh, Sophia's on a new schedule, maybe a new diet, maybe a new, because the minute she cleaned up the mess, organized the chaos, now she could organize her eating and her exercise and this and that and that. So sometimes you see somebody so perfectly groomed, so well groomed, that what they're telling you is screaming is this is the only thing I can control, because everything else in my life is such a fuck up that I have control over my grooming or my cleaning or the room or my exercise schedule or the rigidity of my food. So when you talk to clients and you find those rigid thought forms, it's because there's some chaos that they're trying to control, and they probably don't know how. And we lived this cycle for years. Her room was a mess, she'd clean it up, I'd see the diet change, I'd see the exercise change, then her room would get dirty again, and so with her, it was cleaning her room. And so somewhere, maybe, is chaotic in your life, and chaos comes in different forms. It's not that everybody's life is being blown up. Chaos could be, something small. And that's the way that you feel in organized fashion to tackle it. So if someone is so disheveled, maybe that's their only way of saying, fuck you, I'm going to break the rules and I'm not going to be structured and let me look like a slob. But maybe somebody is so well groomed that they're saying, I have no other way to control the chaos in my life but taking care of what I look like or how hard I exercise or how well I eat.
And
Any sort of rigidity is an insight to
And
this.
I've trained my family where if I say, this house is a mess, and I got this, and this to do, and they see me like, so then they're like, okay, Mom, we're gonna help you clean.
Yeah.
And maybe that's
Yes.
maybe
What do
that's
you
what
want
she's
us
trying. Maybe that is exactly the chaos that she wants to control. Her family, because she's a mom.
Right.
And women are in charge of their houses, and their family, and their kids. Who knows? It's not dysfunctional. She's not in a dysfunctional state. I'm just picking on her.
Yeah.
But these are tricks to understand that the client is screaming something at you. They are not rigid with their food and their exercise and their grooming and their schedule and their this and their that, just because there is a story there. Because there are no new stories, and this is the story that comes from the beginning of time. And your client is a microcosm of the universe. So they're living this exact story in their own life. And you inquire, are you always so rigid about your cleaning schedule, your grooming schedule, your haircut, your nail care, your food? And you start saying, oh. So we're not crazy in the sense that we create behavior to counteract something else. But we need to live with both. We have to get comfortable with chaos, because chaos exists, change exists, we're not in control of shit. Things can change on a dime.
That's scary.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it is.
Very
Trust
scary.
me.
Very
It is.
scary. Take it from me.
Yeah.
And I was hit with 5 things at once. But most people are hit with things and they lose their footing. That's why they go to therapy. And then you've got the other side where people don't like rules, people don't like stability, people don't want structure, and then they create chaos in order to say, I don't want to follow the rules, or I can't follow the rules, or I'm having a hard time following the rules. And those are the people that think they're going to change the world. I'm not a believer in that. I'm not a believer in that. I do believe we have a mission. I do believe we have a purpose and a meaning. And there are going to be people that are going to take an idea and they're going to create something. But I don't think that one thing changes the world. You can make an impact. Absolutely. Every single one of us, I believe, has a purpose and makes an impact. But it's the collective of everybody working together, not one person. So Oprah is Oprah. She's great. But Oprah by herself can't change the world. She can impact the people that she reaches that might be a much bigger reach than what I reach. I do it in my way, she does it in hers. So this idea of I'm going to change the world and the world's rules don't apply to me, some people call that karma. people call that karma. Oh, you think the world's rules aren't gonna apply to you? Well, let me show you otherwise. And it's a lesson in humility. And when people come to therapy, they're usually really down. And humility is a factor. They need to learn they're in control of nothing. And the higher someone thinks that they are, the higher that pedestal that they've been put on, or they've put themselves on, the harder the fall. Because they have so much further to crash. So humility is really, really important. And notice, Buddha and Jesus, which are two of our major examples, were humble. Jesus was tempted by Satan. Buddha didn't want to eat the food, and then he realized, damn, I have a body, I need to feed it. There was humility in saying, I have to give in to the confines of the world, of the form. Jesus was beat to death because that was the rule of the day. That's how they did it. Just because he was quote unquote God, for those of you who believe that story, didn't mean that he raised his superpower and said, oh, no one's going to beat me. No, that was the way it was done. That's what he endured. So these things happen to us to teach us humility. And teach us that we're not going to change the world. Teach us that we're not above the law. To teach us that we have rules to follow. But also to teach us that change and chaos is a part of life. And every time we're faced with chaos is an opportunity to change, to grow. Questions? Is it time?
Yeah.
Do we have mindfulness?
And I had nothing to say today. I meant to do clinical with you
Is
guys.
there a mindfulness class today?
Yes.